And I'd like to welcome you all to our Thursday 1:30 p.m. session with Tori once again on general nutrition for wellness and fall risk management. So I really look forward to this session today. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior Digital Inclusion Program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the info and any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Let's keep our TVs and cell phones in mind, all that good stuff. Let's keep our mics in mind. If you can't see us, hear us, please let us know in the chat. And as always, you can review the session on our YouTube channel. So hello, YouTube. You can review and rewind as much as you'd like. And again, thanks so much for coming on our site. Tori, if you could introduce yourself and your topic for today, we really appreciate you coming on. And once again, thank you so much for hosting. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I just noticed that there's a lawnmower outside. So can everybody still hear me okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay. All right. If it gets too loud, I'll close the door. So hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me again today. As you know, most of my topics are about trying to make sure that we can live the healthiest life that we can, so that we can do the things we enjoy doing. And so today, the conversation is going to be about nutrition and how that just impacts our overall risk of falls, and also just how we can hopefully just have a good discussion about nutrition and maybe some of the concerns you have or some of the difficulties you have in making sure that you can eat as healthily as you can. So should I go ahead and share my slides now, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I do have a presentation, as I always do. So we're going to start with that. And like I talked to Alex, I'll stop every once in a while so that we can ask some questions. Oh, and I'm at the end, so let's not do that. 1 second, don't peek at it. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to stop every once in a while to see if you have any questions. And I think that a lot of this information, I know I gave this talk before last year, but also it's probably come up in a variety of the talks that I've done over this past year, because as we've talked about, as human beings, we're a very complex integrated system, right? So if I had a conversation with you about reducing your risk of falling, likely nutrition came in on it. If we talked about brain health, nutrition came in on it. So it's been something we've talked about before. But this is specifically about nutrition and some of the things that we need to pay attention to, particularly as we get older. Again, I don't think any of this is going to come as a surprise to you all. I know that you've already had some conversations about this with other presenters, I'm sorry. So that's why I want to make sure that we have time to answer questions, okay? So I'm going to talk about some current guidelines. The funny thing is I was intending to update the one I did last year, but then I emailed Alex to tell him that it had somehow totally disappeared. So I created a whole new one today. So everything is totally up to date. And we're going to talk about how nutrition impacts your wellness and decreases your fall risk. But I want to stress here, even beyond the disclaimer that Alex read, that please, before you make any big changes to your diet, that you make sure you talk to your primary care provider. There are some specific medications that you have to be careful if you're taking, that you don't eat too much of one thing or not enough of another. And we maybe can have some conversations about that at the end, but please, as always, make sure you're including your healthcare provider in these conversations. So I think we're going to, oh, you know what? I need to share my sound. So I'm going to stop sharing.
That's okay.
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me try that again. Okay. All right, hopefully this will work.
Oh, can you stop? Don't hit the optimize video share, because that causes the some of the zoom. It's good now, but I always sometimes have issues with that. But it's good for now.
It was
So you
working?
can
Okay.
you can play it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for working with me. I'm always learning or seeing something new.
Okay.
Wonderful.
From the minute we're born, we're aging. Constant exposure to our environment, the things we eat, and stresses from both inside and outside our bodies all cause us to age over time. Aging is highly complex, but scientists are starting to understand what happens at the cellular and molecular levels. For example, healthy cells are damaged over time when our immune systems shift from reacting to short-term problems like injuries and infections to gradually producing chronic inflammation throughout the body. Time also gradually shortens the telomeres that act as protective caps for our DNA-containing chromosomes. These and other changes make our bodies less and less able to deal with stresses from inside and outside of our body. So when damage reaches a critical level, our cells, tissues, and organs may no longer perform normally, and our health starts to decline. The changes associated with aging start to happen on some level at day one. We begin to experience their effects early in life. For example, we lose the ability to hear certain high-frequency sounds as teenagers. Our cognition and memory slowly decline after they peak in our mid-20s. The strength of our bones starts to decrease in our 30s. Female fertility sharply declines after 35. Age-related nearsightedness begins in our mid-40s, and our hair starts to gray and thin as early as our 30s and 40s. After the age of 50, the changes of aging become increasingly noticeable. And because aging is the biggest risk factor for most of the diseases that affect us as adults, the older we get, the higher our risk of chronic disease becomes. While scientists have not yet found a way to stop these processes of aging, they are learning more and more about how to maintain health throughout our lives. Some aspects of aging are out of our control, like our genetics and our family history, but we can educate ourselves about moderate risk factors and do our best to reduce them through healthy lifestyle and diet choices. Most of us can be healthy and active well into our later years if we take care of ourselves. It's no surprise that regular physical activity can help maintain a healthy weight, improve moods and sleep habits, and boost overall health. And it's clear that a well-balanced diet full of nutritious foods is critical to good health. But when it comes to understanding which foods are the best choices, much nutrition research has focused on how certain foods or nutrients may have a negative effect on health or even play a role in disease development. More recently, scientists have begun to explore and understand how nutrition may play a role in promoting healthy aging throughout all of life's stages. We are rapidly learning about what foods and nutrients should be emphasized in our diets and how they can enhance our health. Diets full of fruits and veggies, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and lean meats have proven health benefits like lowering blood pressure, improving glucose control and diabetes, weight loss, improving arthritis, and reducing the risk of cancer and cardiovascular events, to name a few. And we are learning more about the specific nutrients that can impact health. For example, plant pigments found in bright orange and red fruits and vegetables may prevent and slow the progression of eye diseases. Calcium helps to keep bones strong. B vitamins play a role in maintaining brain health. And flavonoids from many plants may improve the health of our cardiovascular systems. The bottom line is that you have the power to maintain and improve your health, add vitality to your years, and reduce your risk of disease. And it's never too late to make a change. To learn more about the nutrients that are critical to your health and how to safely turn to supplements if you aren't getting enough of these nutrients in your diet, watch Healthy Aging with Nutrition at www.
Okay. So the reason I like that particular video is I feel like it actually wrapped up like the last year of all the presentations that we've gone over together about staying active, about the changes in our body, about what we can and cannot affect. So I thought it was actually a really nice way to sort of wrap up and get us into the nutrition. So as the video said, and as I think I've been saying all along, is that there's things that you can affect and things you can't affect. And, you know, no matter what our age is or what's going on, I want to know that you have the power to make some changes and hopefully affect some positive outcomes in your life, right? And hopefully educating yourself with all this information will really make a difference for that. So I'm going to go through some resources that I from online resources, and all the actual websites are on the slides if you want to do a deeper dive into any of them. But this is from the government, from myplate.gov. I do believe, Alex, you'd said that you'd had a presentation about that, so you might be familiar with it.
Oh yeah, the Start Simple with My Plate app. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so you probably already know all this, but just in general, as we get older, trying to have less sugar, less fats, making sure we get enough protein, and we're going to go through a bunch of these more specifically in a moment. Drinking. So I might even stop here and ask, I think I have talked about dehydration probably in every presentation I've done. So I think, Alex, at this point, I will ask if anybody wants to chime in if you can tell me why you want to avoid dehydration. What are some of the things that can happen when you become dehydrated that we've spoken about?
Yes, please unmute and share. You don't have to raise your hand for this one. Please unmute and share. Why do you need to drink water often? What happens if you don't? Please, anyone can unmute and share.
Well, one of the reasons you want to drink water often is to avoid headaches. I notice when I don't drink enough water, the first thing I get is a headache, and then I immediately go drink some water, and that helps.
Oh, good. So it's like your head is telling you you're dehydrated, so
Right,
you're paying
right.
attention to it. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that too, and I'm glad you brought it up now too. I think that our bodies really have a very, very unique way of telling us that it's missing something, some sort of nutrient or fluids or something. So it's really great to listen to what your body's telling you. Does anybody remember like what happens if you like, what are some of the things that you're like physically what might happen to you if you're dehydrated?
Anyone else, please unmute yourself and share. I think I know it though. What happens when you don't drink water, when you don't have enough water, when you're dehydrated?
As far as I know, and from examples I've seen, people die.
Yeah. Yes, you
Yeah,
eventually will die. Yes.
yeah. You
So
gotta have
what?
water.
How would that happen? So if you don't drink enough water, Mr. Angelo, what happens? What could happen if you're outside
Your,
and it's hot and you're not hydrated? What can
your,
happen?
your organs shut down.
Mm-hmm.
They say you can go without food a certain length of time, but you gotta have water, to keep your organs vibrant and your blood vessels and everything, working properly at least for a longer time, So.
Yeah, you're totally right. And luckily, there's usually some signs before you get to that stage of death, the final stage.
Yeah, really.
There's some
Yeah.
signs along the way.
Oh man.
I just want to, you made me think about this rule. Do you guys all know this rule of 3 for survival? I'm going to look that up real quick. But yeah, I think along the way, what you might notice is that people will have maybe some dizziness.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're dehydrated, your blood pressure drops. So you might have some dizziness, some lightheadedness. You'll feel a little off balance.
Right.
Very often people will have cognitive changes, like a little confusion, yeah. So and then, as you said, it can get very serious. And it
Yeah.
definitely, yep.
Yeah.
And you can have bladder issues too.
That's right.
For real.
That's right. That's right.
Everything. I mean, like you
bladder
said,
infections and stuff. Yeah.
you can fall if you're outside and you're hot and you don't have enough water and your blood pressure falls, you can fall. And we know what can happen with the fall, as we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone. So
Yeah.
yes, so
Yeah.
important. Stay hydrated.
Definitely. And I think also make sure that you pay attention to it in the winter time as well, because I think we kind of forget because we're not outside sweating. And so we don't really think about it as much. But when you're inside in environments with the heat on, like you're just as prone to dehydration in those situations. So really think about it all year long. Don't just worry about it on hot days. Hot days, you have to obviously pay more attention to it, but
Right.
pay attention if you're in a very warm environment inside as well.
Oh, yeah, your body's like 60, 70, 80% water, right?
Yeah.
I
Something.
mean, if you don't have water, then that's not good.
No, not at all.
Slowly your body shuts down.
Yeah.
Got water, enough fluid.
Very, very important. You're right. Yep. All right. Okay, I'm gonna move on then if we're good with this.
Great comments, folks. I know y'all have learned a lot.
Mhm. Definitely.
So this is from the My Plate. Actually, I think I got this from Tufts. So Tufts University in Boston actually is very involved in nutrition as well, apparently, because I've gotten some information today from them. But I thought this was a nice graphic actually, because it's a little bit more descriptive than the typical My Plate thing that comes up. So you're all familiar with this, I'm sure. And I think the key to all of this, which I think you probably already know, is variety and moderation, right? Like having a variety of good foods, different colored foods on your plate, and moderation. So you don't want to overdo any one thing, whether it's something that's deemed healthy or not healthy. Even the healthy things, if you overdo, can become unhealthy. So it's just very important that you have a pretty colorful plate. And we'll talk some more about that. So I did the My Plate thing, and this is what came up for me. So it sounds like you're all familiar with doing it, but you can go onto that website and enter your age, your height, and your weight, your activity level, and it'll give you an idea of what you should be eating per day. And full disclosure, my activity level was low, so I think I'm like lower calories because of that. So I was honest about it. I'll admit. So then I went on to the dietary guidelines for America. This is through the ACL, Administration for Community Living. I forgot what they're called. And so these are some specific things that they want to talk about. So protein is very important. Now we've talked about protein and we've talked about the loss of muscle mass. I don't know if you remember that the term is sarcopenia, but basically I think it's like starts at age 35, we start to lose muscle mass. So it's just something that naturally happens to all of us. It can be worse in some people than others, of course, and we all know one of the big keys to preventing it or slowing its rate is exercise, right? But we also need to make sure we have plenty of protein to make sure that we're maintaining that muscle mass. And it's something that we really do need as seniors. And unfortunately, it's not as common for some reason in the senior diet. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but it's so important that you do it. But what this presentation, what I learned again in research and just have known is that incorporating protein doesn't mean just eating more meat. So really kind of consider other sources of protein throughout your day. So you're not necessarily just eating a lot of meat, good or bad. Like I'm not telling you not to eat meat, but all the information really suggests to sort of vary your protein sources. And so specifically, like even the Tufts University that I was talking about was saying, it's important to eat a protein-rich food in every one of your meals. So in every meal, try to have some sort of protein, but that doesn't mean just eating more meats and poultry. Like throw a few nuts in there, maybe do some like seeds, like sprinkle some chia seeds on something. There's all kinds of ways you can do it because you actually don't want to overdo protein. As if you can see that fourth bullet point down there. Too much protein can actually put a lot of stress on our kidneys, which is obviously something we do not want to do, right? So there are a number of guidelines which are in this presentation that you can calculate, but really it's just, again, moderation, right? But try as much as you can to put at least a little bit of protein in each of your meals all day long so that you're ensuring you're getting enough of it, okay? And so this is an example from Tufts of different types of protein that you can incorporate during the day. So of course, meat is fine. Fish, eggs, quinoa, milk, peanut butter, all kinds of beans, all kinds of nuts, whatever your preferences are. But see if you can't mix it up a little bit if you tend to be really heavy in one particular protein source versus another. B12, I'm sure we've talked about B12 before too. So B12 is, all the vitamins and minerals are important. I don't want to stress that one is more important than another, but this is particularly important as we get older because as you can see, our body's ability to absorb it declines as we age, and decreased vitamin B12 can have some pretty significant impacts on our balance, on our cognition, on our organ function. It's a very important vitamin for that. So if you, again, eat a fairly wide variety of foods, chances are you're fine and you're getting plenty of B12. It only really does come from animal sources. So if you tend not to eat a lot of animal sources, you do need to find another way to get B12, whether it's something something that you eat or drink that is fortified with B12, or you take a B12 supplement. But you really do want to pay attention to it, because this is again from Tufts. B12 deficiency is something that can happen as we get older. Some of the symptoms might be fatigue, weakness, numbness, difficulty walking, or new onset of cognitive difficulties. Now, you all know those symptoms could be any number of things, right? But I would tell you that if you start feeling any of those things, particularly pretty quickly, like it comes on pretty quickly, absolutely call your provider and just, let them know. And then they'll hopefully do some labs and do some checking and make sure everything's okay. It could be B12, it could be something else, but just know that lack of B12 can contribute to those symptoms, okay? It's very easy to find it. They just do lab work to find out what your B12 level is. So as long as you're eating, as you can see at the bottom, as long as you're eating a variety of foods and you are getting some animal products, you're probably fine, but just be very aware of that one.
Right. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy products.
Mhm.
As you said, most plant-based foods don't, but things like fortified cereals and nutritional yeast, says even shiitake mushrooms may have a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah,
if you're a vegetarian, it says you should definitely, or vegan, you should definitely make sure that you get enough B12.
yeah, absolutely. We already talked about beverages, so I'm not going to go over this again, but I like some of their choices here, though. Like you can include things like unsweetened tea, infused fruit water. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go somewhere that has like that big, beautiful glass jug of water with like lemons and cucumbers and stuff in it, I'm like, oh, this is so delicious. I should do this at home. I never think to do it,
It's
but
called, we learned about it from a presenter. It's called bioactive water. When you put the fruit
ah,
in the water,
uh-huh.
it makes the water more better for you. So I remember learning about that. So fruits and lemons and
Yeah.
limes in the water, it's much better than water by itself. It's called
Oh, well, so
bioactive water.
interesting. I didn't know that was what it was called. I just knew it was delicious, so that's good.
Mhm.
Um, so going back to dehydration, I kind of jumped the gun on this, but just again to emphasize it, there was a study that showed that 24% of older adults are not drinking enough. So please stress this to your friends, stress
So
this to anybody you
sad.
can.
That's a quarter of folks. That's a
Yeah,
quarter of seniors.
yeah. So it's a thing. And I know we've talked about it because a lot of times in my experience, this is anecdotal, but in my experience, people don't want to drink because then they have to get up to use the restroom, or if you're out and about in the community, you have to find a restroom. And I totally get that. Really, I really do understand that. But but there can be a conversation about that in addition to keeping yourself hydrated, because there might be techniques or things that can be done in your home so you don't have to rush to the bathroom all the time. So I wouldn't limit your fluid intake simply because of the concern about running to the bathroom. Like, better off having a conversation about how to make those trips to the bathroom easier, rather than dehydrating yourself. But that, for me, my experience in meeting people that are either in their homes or in the hospital when I worked at Georgetown, was because they intentionally limited their intake of fluid to avoid going to the bathroom. So please be aware if that's something you find yourself doing, and talk to somebody about figuring that out. Um, Alcohol, I'm not going to be judgmental about this, it's totally up to you. Just they recommend to moderate again. Just be aware that alcohol is a diuretic, so it will lead to increased risk of dehydration. So if you are drinking any alcohol, make sure you are drinking plenty of water along with it. Um, of course, limit intake of sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. I know you guys don't know all that. So I thought these were pretty pictures. This is pretty pictures. That was silly. Helpful pictures from the National Institute on Aging. Just so you can get an idea, like when they talk about half a cup, like what does that mean? And it's really not that much if you think about it. I mean, look at the picture. Like you would get half a cup of veggies and half a red bell pepper. So um, these pictures I thought might be helpful for you to understand what a serving size looks like, so you can incorporate those into your meal. So there's
I
every
could
kind
eat 6 carrots in like 30 seconds.
Right. I know. I know. I know. I think it can be overwhelming when, like for me, when I see like what the requirements are for portions, I'm like, I don't know what that means. So I actually thought this was really helpful that they did this.
My plate, if you go on the app or the website, they also do it. If you look at the food group, they tell you like 1 cup of grapes is 1 cup of fruit or half a cup of whatever too. So I
Yeah.
like that. But actually seeing the picture, they don't have the pictures, they just have the numbers. But with the picture, it looks really doable. Like
It does, right?
like
Yeah.
one slice of bread. Like
Yeah.
that's easy.
Right. Yep. Yep. So I thought these were helpful. So you can go on that website and check that out. And then oils. So I think there's a lot of confusion about oils, like what's good for you, what's not. And that's also like oils and fats and saturated and unsaturated. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that educated enough to know the difference between, I generally know what the difference is, but it's not within my scope to really define what you should be eating as far as saturated and unsaturated fats and polyunsaturated, all that. But generally speaking, the healthy fats, so I'm doing air quotes, which you guys can't see, the healthy oils are good for you and are important. You know, I'm gonna bring my mother back into this, which if she ever watches these YouTube videos, she's gonna kill me. But my mother at some point had decided to eliminate all fat from her diet because she was afraid of gaining weight. And uh, you can't eliminate all fat from your diet because your body needs healthy
Yeah.
fats. Your brain most definitely does. The function of your muscles do. Your nerves do. It's part of absorbing the vitamins to make sure everything is functioning and working. So please don't think you need to eliminate fat from your diet if that's something, if you're trying to manage your weight or if you think it's not healthy. There's healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So these are like the pictures of some of the healthy fats. Certainly avocados, olives. So I'll leave it at that. I know, let me just see if there's another picture now. So actually that's the end of like the specific nutrient conversation. So before we get into the fall risk portion, why don't we stop there and see if there's any questions or comments?
Oh, please raise your hand if you have any comments or questions. But I love this story. This is so informational. Thank you so much. And what I get from it is not too hard to get your nutrients or your recommended daily amounts. It's
Right.
just I think for a lot of people and even myself, it's that consistency, it's
Yeah.
that's always going to be something we got to work towards and improve. But I love this foundation. It's very doable.
Yeah.
Any other hands? I see you have a hand. Any other hands? Please raise your hand if you have a question or comment for Tori. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Doris, for sharing. Any question, comment?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. I had gallbladder surgery, right? So since I had that, I can't tolerate, the oils in my food.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I don't put a lot of oils in my food because it don't like my body no more.
Gotcha. And that makes a lot of sense because your gallbladder is an essential organ for processing fat. So that makes sense. And yeah, I think you probably don't realize you're getting some, hopefully enough. Like your body doesn't need a lot. Um, so probably you're getting it in some food that you're eating, you're getting a sufficient amount. But that's a good question to ask your doctor just to make sure that you're getting enough of the oils that your body does need. Even if it's a little, like you can see there, it has half a teaspoon of olive oil. That might be all you need to spread out during the day. So to see if they have any recommendations for you about the amount of oil that maybe you can tolerate and how you can spread it out during the day.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking, Ms. Doris. We got Anne and then Mr. Angelo. Question or comment for Tori?
Tori, when you eat fish, baked fish, are you getting an amount of oils out of it that you should?
The fish, yeah. So that's a good question. So from what I understand about fish, there are some fish that are more beneficial with regards to the oil intake than others. And I think that it would just be a matter of looking it up on websites to see which ones are more beneficial if that's your goal. So I know, like, for example, salmon is almost always a recommended fish for people to eat because of its fatty omega acid, omega oils, I'm sorry, content. Whereas like the white fishes, not so much. So,
Okay.
Mhm.
I think, yeah.
Oh, and thank you for your good advice because when I went to my diabetes doctor today, she took me off metformin and uh and the stick. I don't have to do that, but maybe once or twice a week.
Wow. Congratulations. That's exciting.
And
Congrats,
I've lost
man.
50 pounds.
Congratulations.
Yes. So
Wow.
thank you so much.
Oh, of course. I'm so happy for you. That's great news.
Thank you for sharing, Ann. I love it. That put a smile on my face.
Definitely.
We got Mr. Angelo. Thank you for your question as well, or comment.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Tori, because what you stated about the different vitamin B12 and C and D and all that. I'm on all of those right now, sitting on that coffee table, dinner table, or whatever. Take them regularly. So, and I feel the difference, and it's
Do you?
very good. Yes, yes, yes. So happy. And I take a live men's vitamins over 50
Mm-hmm.
plus. Yeah, so yeah, I feel real good, thank God. So yeah, I appreciate you very much. Keep up the good
Good.
work.
Thank you too.
Mhm. All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Angelo. Just always stay safe and always just let your doctor know all that good stuff. But it sounds
Mhm.
like you are on track and you're doing better for yourself and you feel it. So kudos to you for wanting to better yourself.
Okay.
I hear you. I see you and I hear you, Miss Angelo. So great job.
Mhm.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I don't know if you remember us having a conversation about medications and talking to your doctor, but because you said that, Mr. Angelo, I'm going to emphasize that you please report any supplements or over-the-counter medications you're taking to your doctor, just to make sure they're aware of everything you're taking, besides just what they've prescribed to you or somebody else has prescribed for you, okay? Because you just never know if there's interactions between medications or, that kind of stuff. So just
Yeah.
keep them in the loop.
They're there to help.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for all those comments. So now we're going to tie this all back into like, why is this important when talking about reducing our risk of falling? So again, it's not going to come as any surprise to you. Good nutrition is important for your cognition, your mood, your sleep, which is all important, of course, for maintaining balance and preventing falls. And this particular site also talks about improved cognition and emotional health aids you in quicker reactions and better coordination. That's a lot. I don't know if that's entirely, I don't know what the exact number of that impact could be, but it's obviously true that, in general, if we feel better, right, whether that's through good sleep and good nutrition, we're in a happy mood, we're probably going to be more active. As a result of being more active, we're going to remain strong, and then we're going to decrease our risk of falling. So it's all part of that big complicated puzzle that makes up our body, right? So it's very important. I thought this was interesting. There has been some specific gender research about the intake of fruits and vegetables. And apparently for women, although it seems like the sample size wasn't large enough to really, they want to do some more research on it, but apparently high fruit and vegetable intake was associated with a lower risk of frailty. So frailty is really just, what it sounds like, sort of being a little like what we would call generalized weakness, just being at risk for falling, being at risk for other conditions. So, inadequate fruit and veggie consumption was closely related to an increased fall incidence. So that's interesting. I hadn't seen that study before. So more evidence to encourage people to eat fruits and veggies.
Well,
Um,
for example, like what vitamin do you get from, or and nutrients and minerals do you get from fruits and veggies that you can think off the top of your head that assist with less risk of confusion and mental clarity and all that good stuff. So why do you think this happened?
well, that's a good question. I didn't read the whole article, but my guess would be because if you have, again, an assortment of fruits and vegetables, so really a lot of the nutritional advice that I've read over the years is that you should have a multicolored intake of food during the day, some red, some green, some orange, this and that. So my guess is that by increasing your fruit and vegetable consumption, you're getting a wider variety of vitamins and potentially some minerals that you're not getting if you're not doing, like if all you're eating is sort of meat and potatoes, right? You're getting good nutrition from the meat and some from the potato, but you're missing all of the pretty colorful foods that you need that have an assortment of vitamins particularly, and fiber as well.
Right. I mean, if I ate apples, oranges, bananas, lettuce, grapes, that variety, and consistently, I guess, I definitely have more nutrients and, just be better off than maybe others that may not do the same thing. So it sounds really good. Sounds really good. That sounds really, really nice. And fruits and vegetables have a lot of water too. So
Yeah.
by eating those things, you are also hydrating yourself. So when you're more hydrated, you're less likely to fall. So that's what I also think of when I see this.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're probably right about that as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, well, we're gonna talk about the takeaways, but I always fall back on that, trying to make your plate as colorful as possible with a little bit of protein. If you do that, if for all your meals, I think you'll be great. Again, we're going back to the hydration, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse about this one, but you can see how important it is because it comes up in every single source that I went to today. So iron-rich foods and vitamin B12 are important for combating anemia, which can lead to muscle weakness and dizziness, further increasing your fall risk. So we're back to the B12, how important that is. And I didn't talk a bit about iron, but iron is very important because iron is what helps your red blood cells carry the oxygen that your body needs. And so you need to make sure you're getting enough iron. And iron's tricky actually because, well, you can get it primarily from animal sources. Red meat, of course, is high in iron. There are some vegetables, black beans, you can get it from spinach. So some of the darker veggies and legumes you can get it from. The iron supplements, they can be a little tricky because they potentially can contribute to constipation, which is an unfortunate side effect. So if you can get it via your diet versus a supplement, you may just mitigate the risk of constipation. But and this is actually that's a very easy test for the doctor to do in the office to see what your iron levels are. So certainly if you're feeling like a little just, little tired, fatigued, like you can't just get your legs are just not wanting to move, talk to the doctor about it and see if they can run some of these metabolic lab tests for you and see what your levels are like.
Oh, I love this slide. I see dried fruits have a lot of iron. So the dried fruits actually help with the constipation, if you're
Yeah.
experiencing that. So I see
Yeah.
that. I see oysters have a lot of iron, fish, some nuts like cashews and walnuts. Broccoli has a cup of cooked broccoli has about 1 milligram of iron. And broccoli also has vitamin C, or you could have soybeans or tofu. One boiled egg contains about 1 milligram of iron. So
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
if you're eating a variety of foods, your chances are you're doing just fine and you're getting in what you need. Um, and malnutrition is a problem with older adults. So I just wanted to put this in here because they mentioned it, and I do think that it's important to talk about. And malnourished doesn't necessarily mean thin. It just means that you're not getting the nutrition that you need. And so that can, as you can imagine, contribute to your fall risk because you have anemia, you just don't have enough of your other, important essential vitamins and minerals to function. Um, you might notice that a lot of people that are frail or might be malnourished. And there might be a lot of reasons why people are malnourished. Some of the thoughts are that people have decreased appetite as we get older. Some of the thought behind that is that we start to have, we talked about this last time, sort of decreased sense of smell and decreased sense of taste. And so food just doesn't taste as good anymore. So people are not that interested in eating it, then they don't eat enough or they don't eat the right food. And it's unfortunately a terrible downward spiral. Sometimes mental health, depression can lead to a decrease in appetite. And again, you'll be in the same place. Sometimes if somebody has some sort of cognitive decline, whether it's like a dementia or something that's not being recognized, they're not going to necessarily eat a healthy variety of foods, which may lead to malnourishment. So there's a whole bunch of reasons. It could be financial as well. So maybe unfortunately, the processed foods tend to be less expensive than some of the whole foods, and so that's an issue as well. So I think there's a lot of really reasons why, and I'm sure there's plenty more why seniors are more prone to malnutrition. But it's very important that if either you recognize that in yourself or your friends or family, just try to let them know how important it is to eat healthy. But here's the general advice, right? To mitigate the risks of malnutrition. So we're back on this. Includes adequate protein, calcium, and vitamin D. And there's the 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram. I don't even think I could figure that out for my body. So that's where you go to your doctor and say, like, how much protein should I be eating? And hopefully they can convert that for you. The same thing with the calcium and the vitamin D, let them help you figure out what that converts to as far as what you're eating every day. Let me see what the next slide is.
Tori, do you mind answering a question?
Yeah, I see Anne's hand is raised. Yeah, sure.
And you have a question about something Tori just went over?
Tori, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It made a little thing. I didn't know what was right. When you need vitamins, I take the Woman's multivitamin, and my doctor said that I seem to have I need some calcium. So there's calcium in that. So should you recommend a brand of calcium, or just or go to the drugstore and get their brand? Does it make a difference? Was what I'm trying to ask.
Right, I understand what you're saying. I know I don't have a specific brand at all. I don't, not particularly know. Are you saying that the calcium is in the multivitamin that you're taking though?
Mm-hmm.
And he said you need more than what's in your vitamin?
Mm-hmm.
Did he know what vitamin you were taking?
I told him.
Huh, that's interesting.
Oh, excuse me, her. I have a new doctor now.
And I just said him, like, that was bad of me too. I don't have any personal recommendations. No, I think maybe go back and ask her if she has any. One caveat I would tell you, I don't know if you all know this, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from taking supplements at all, so please don't take it this way, but
oh no, I didn't get that message at all, honey.
yeah, no, but what I'm about to say might make you think this, but so I don't know if you know this, but the FDA does not have the ability to really oversee nutritional supplements the way they do with food. And that's an act of Congress. And I don't know if you're all familiar with this or not, but
well, I'm familiar with the person that's running with it now, so.
Oh no, I know, and I don't want to. Yeah,
I'm not even gonna go there.
No,
okay.
No, I don't want to get political. I'm just saying all this because so my full disclosure, my husband at one point oversaw the supplements and at the FDA. So they have to make sure that they're not going to cause you harm, but they don't regulate them in the sense that they necessarily contain the amount that they say they contain. Like the FDA doesn't have the bandwidth or I think even the regulatory license to check and make sure the supplement is actually what it says it is sometimes, or it has the amount it is. So all that being said, maybe consult with your providers to see if they recommend a particular brand that they know of and research, is reliable and is high quality, and that you are in fact getting what you need, because it's unfortunate that it's a kind of unregulated industry. And it's certainly important. Obviously, I know plenty of providers recommend you having supplements, and like we've talked about, some people feel really good taking them. So I'm not telling you at all not to take them, but I would certainly make sure you do your research and see that the ones that have been. I think there's like a nonprofit, a certifying organization that will actually certify some particular brands. So maybe see if your doctor is familiar with that, or if you can find it. And I can look for it too if I can find it.
Well, I played one of your for Wild Tech for the senior group at church.
Oh, okay.
They were very impressed with you.
Thank you.
And they liked you, and you helped a lot of people with the falling. So I just wanted to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
And I didn't do as good as you, but they saw that I was following what you were recommending. And I eat a lot of broccoli, so
Okay.
yeah, I like broccoli.
Good for you.
I eat broccoli and greens and stuff like that. So I was trying to figure out why I did not have enough protein and iron and whatever. But anyhow, but thank you so much, and God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing, honey.
Thank you, Miss Ann. I'm sure you did a great job because you've been here all this whole time, so I'm sure you did great.
Well, I let you do the talking, and I just did a lot of little explaining and telling things how I had changed my diet and um, all that kind of stuff. So, but anyhow,
Good.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Alex, I looked it up while I was talking. It's the NSF International is this nonprofit independent testing lab. So maybe you can find the website as we're talking and see if it is actually legitimate. I think it is. This is the organization that I was saying that they do develop the first independent testing standard and certification program specifically for dietary supplements. So my understanding is that there might be some brands or some things on there that they have tested that they can say are in fact what they say they are and not harmful. And you might see some of that certification on some of the bottles that you look at. I think they have a little NSF certified on the bottles, but I'll let Alex take a look at that while we keep talking. So vitamin D, we probably talked about this before, but vitamin D is definitely, through multiple research over the years, has been associated with a decreased risk of falling. In this particular study, there was only one that actually showed a reduction in fracture risk. And I didn't look closely enough to see what that was. But in general, vitamin D it's an important vitamin for many things, but we've talked about before that it reduces your risk of falling. Again, you might get plenty of vitamin D in your food. You may not have to take a supplement. This is a conversation to have with your doctor. If you eat food that's rich in vitamin D and getting outside, you're probably doing fine. I thought this was an interesting video about how food affects our brain. It's a little technical, but we've already talked about a bunch of this stuff, so I think you guys will understand it and maybe like it.
If you sucked all of the moisture out of your brain and broke it down to its constituent nutritional content, what would it look like? Most of the weight of your dehydrated brain would come from fats, also known as lipids. In the remaining brain matter, you would find proteins and amino acids, traces of micronutrients, and glucose. The brain is, of course, more than just the sum of its nutritional parts, but each component does have a distinct impact on functioning, development, mood, and energy. So that post-lunch apathy or late-night alertness you might be feeling, well, that could simply be the effects of food on your brain. Of the fats in your brain, the superstars are omegas 3 and 6. These essential fatty acids, which have been linked to preventing degenerative brain conditions, must come from our diets. So eating omega-rich foods like nuts, seeds, and fatty fish is crucial to the creation and maintenance of cell membranes. And while omegas are good fats for your brain, long-term consumption of other fats, like trans and saturated fats, may compromise brain health. Meanwhile, proteins and amino acids, the building block nutrients of growth and development, manipulate how we feel and behave. Amino acids contain the precursors to neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that carry signals between neurons, affecting things like mood, sleep, attentiveness, and weight. They're one of the reasons we might feel calm after eating a large plate of pasta, or more alert after a protein-rich meal. The complex combinations of compounds in food can stimulate brain cells to release mood-altering norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin. But getting to your brain cells is tricky, and amino acids have to compete for limited access. A diet with a range of foods helps maintain a balanced combination of brain messengers and keeps your mood from getting skewed in one direction or the other. Like the other organs in our bodies, our brains also benefit from a steady supply of micronutrients. Antioxidants in fruits and vegetables strengthen the brain to fight off free radicals that destroy brain cells, enabling your brain to work well for a longer period of time. And without powerful micronutrients like the vitamins B6, B12, and folic acid, our brains would be susceptible to brain disease and mental decline. Trace amounts of the minerals iron, copper, zinc, and sodium are also fundamental to brain health and early cognitive development. In order for the brain to efficiently transform and synthesize these valuable nutrients, it needs fuel, and lots of it. While the human brain only makes up about 2% of our body weight, it uses up to 20% of our energy resources. Most of this energy comes from carbohydrates that our body digests into glucose or blood sugar. The frontal lobes are so sensitive to drops in glucose, in fact, that a change in mental function is one of the primary signals of nutrient deficiency. Assuming that we are getting glucose regularly, how does the specific type of carbohydrates we eat affect our brains? Carbs come in 3 forms: starch, sugar, and fiber. While on most nutrition labels, they are all lumped into one total carb count, the ratio of the sugar and fiber subgroups to the whole amount affect how the body and brain respond. A high glycemic food, like white bread, causes a rapid release of glucose into the blood, and then comes the dip. Blood sugar shoots down, and with it, our attention span and mood. On the other hand, oats, grains, and legumes have slower glucose release, enabling a steadier level of attentiveness. For sustained brain power, opting for a varied diet of nutrient-rich foods is critical. When it comes to what you bite, chew, and swallow, your choices have a direct and long-lasting effect on the most powerful organ in your body.
All right. Okay, so takeaways. Again, to say it again, consult with your primary care provider. So please talk to them about nutrition supplements you're taking or that you're interested in taking, any concerns you have. If you don't think you have enough, like if you're concerned about your D levels or your B12, have them see if they can pull a lab test for you and see where you're at. There are some diagnoses, like you mentioned, about having your gallbladder taken out. There's some things that are very specific to your individual body that you need to be aware of. If you're on a blood thinner, there's some food that you cannot eat. Obviously, if you have diabetes, there's things you cannot eat, blood pressure, things like that. So if you've already been given a diet from your healthcare provider, please make sure that you're following that. And yeah, make sure you're following that. And if it's not working for you, have a conversation with them about it. But that's important. The takeaway for sure, eating a variety of foods. I really do think that if you eat colorful, a good colorful plate at every meal with a little bit of protein, that you're going to be great. You're going to do a very good job of taking care of your health and making sure you get enough of an assortment of vitamins and minerals that you need. Avoid processed foods. You've heard this before, and we can talk more about why, but I do want to share with you, I saw this really cool video recently about why our body, well, this particular host of this video craves Doritos. It was such a fun video because what he explained at the end of it is that the food scientists, there are food scientists and food chemists that isolate the chemicals that can mimic what our body is looking for and then put it onto processed foods. So for example, in Doritos, they have a flavor that they've been able to create in the Doritos called umami, which is like another sort of taste that we have. Our body likes umami flavoring because traditionally it's more associated with very protein rich foods like meats and things like that. So when we were back in the caveman days, our body craved that umami flavoring because our body was craving protein. Well, these very clever food scientists have figured out how to take that flavor and put it on a Dorito chip. So you're craving that flavor probably because your body is craving some protein or something that it needs. and you're getting that fulfilled with this Dorito chip, but in fact, the Dorito chip is not actually meeting that nutritional need, if that makes sense, what I just said. So I think that the processed foods, in addition to having stripped away a lot of the nutritional value and the fiber of whole foods, also unfortunately tricks our body into thinking that it's getting what it needs when in fact it's not. So it's tricky for that. Everything in moderation, please. Like, no matter how healthy you eat, if you eat way too many carrots all day long, there is probably going to be a problem with that, right? So just because something is, technically healthy for you, it still can be overdone. So just make sure you're eating a variety and everything in moderation. Staying hydrated for the millionth time, how important that is, and staying active. So that's what I got. I'm going to stop sharing and then let's have some more conversation. Okay.
Thank you again, Tori, for your wonderful session today. I learned so much about nutrition and how it relates to a lot of other areas in our life. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments, final questions for Tori today? Please raise your hand. Any final questions or comments? Something new that you learned today? Something you're going to check out, ask your doctor? Any thoughts on the session today? Please raise your hands and stay on for our poll. Thank you so much. Yay, we have 3 hands. So thank you all so much. We have Mr. Angelo first and then Ms. Doris. Thank you.
Yes, Tori, very, very, very good session. I really enjoyed it. I just want to say, I thought about something when your last comments about water, drinking water. What is the recommended dose? How many glasses should we drink per day? And the reason why I asked, because I heard about, somebody died from drinking water, what do you call it, water intoxication?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they drank too much water. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I asked that question.
That's a good question. Yeah. So I've seen 2 different schools of thoughts about that. Most of the things that you'll see says 6 to 8 cups of fluid per day, and you'll be fine. So generally, I think that water intoxication, I think it's very hard to do. Like, I think that tends to happen, and from my understanding, with athletes that are just downing it before they have a chance to sort of process it. So I don't think it's something that we can do. But that all being said, of course, it's something, again, moderation, something you should be aware of. I do think that I'm trying to look for it now. So they say 6 to 8 cups a day, but some will say a little bit more. There used to be something about like a percentage of your body weight, but I'm not finding that right now. So I think if you aim for 6 to 8 cups and then just pay attention to how you're feeling, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. 6 to 8 cup of glasses.
Cups. So this is a ginormous mug. So this is probably this is
Oh.
probably 2 cups. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 to 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
But
very
just pay
much.
attention to your body. One of the keys to know if you're getting enough hydration is the color of your urine. So if you have really bright yellow urine, unless you're taking a lot of B vitamins, it might mess you up. But generally speaking, if you have very, very dark colored urine, you're probably not hydrated enough.
Okay.
One of the indications for being properly hydrated is that it's a very pale yellow urine. That's what I've heard too.
So if it's light, you say it's better?
Yeah, lighter urine means you're more hydrated. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. We got Ms. Doris and then Ms. Geraldine next. Thank you so much.
Hi, Tori.
Hi.
I just want to thank you for the great session that you gave today. I enjoyed it and I learned a lot.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I love your avatar.
Thank you.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I want to let you know how much I learned and how much I appreciate your lesson for today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Doris. All right, we got 2 more hands. I appreciate it. We got Anne and then Ms. Geraldine. Thank you so much.
Trying to unmute. I just wanted to thank you too. And I wanted to ask you, when you have a burning with your urine, does that mean you're not getting enough fluids, or something else is going on?
Probably, I don't really know the answer to that, to be honest with you, but that's definitely something to tell your doctor. That could be something that
I'm
is,
asking because my godmother's 102 years old, and the nurse just called me a few months ago and said that, and I said, "Oh, there's somebody I could ask that question to." Um, but she said that she's experiencing some. I said, "Is she drinking enough water?" And I
yeah.
said, "Can I know some people you have to make them drink water. I drink water because that's what I prefer to drink. I'm not a beer or alcoholic, and I don't drink dark sodas anymore. So I've cut back on a whole lot of stuff." Uh,
Thank you for asking. I definitely think that she should have her urine tested. Can she get to the doctor?
no, she's in a wheelchair. I'll have to have my cousin go over there and see what's going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we get older, I think we've talked about this before, but there's a really high incidence of having urinary tract
Look,
infections.
honey, if I make it to 80, which next year, I'll be happy. She's 102 going on 103. She'll be 103 years old in January.
Holy cow, that's amazing.
And she
Um,
reads the paper every day and knows more about what's going on TV than I do.
nice, nice. So she's aware of her body. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't diagnose her obviously, but there's a very high risk of urinary tract infections as we get older. And generally burning urination is one of the symptoms of that. So, and it can have some pretty not great consequences. So please
Yes.
see if
Okay.
they can follow up with a doctor and do a urine test somehow.
Thank you, Tori.
Mhm.
And I hope you don't mind that I quote you.
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne, so much. We appreciate everything today. And then finally, last but not least, we got Geraldine.
Last
Thank
but
you
not
so much.
least, we have Geraldine. Hi, Tori. Thank you
Hi.
for everything. Now, I just wanted to say that in summary, that if you get colorful, all the colors on your plate, and be mindful of the vitamin B12, because a lot of people have cut back on their meat intake. So you have to be mindful of the vitamin B12 and go to the doctor and get that test to make sure that you don't need to take the supplement. In addition to the multivitamin, you might need to take the vitamin B12 supplement if you've cut back on meat quite a bit and didn't allow for it with other foods. So thank you, but I've learned that yeah, if you make your plate very colorful and be mindful of the vitamin B12, that's what I picked up today. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Miss Geraldine. Yeah, great. Thank you. Summed it up beautifully. Yeah. Yep. And I think I don't know if I've told you guys before, but I actually am a vegetarian, but I'm not promoting that. I think that you should eat meat if that makes you happy and that's part of your diet because it's important. There are nutrients that you get in meat, like you spoke about, that you can't get if you have a plant-based diet. But if you are a more plant-based diet, absolutely paying attention to getting iron and B12 is really important, and there's ways to do that. So thank you for bringing that up. I did post the NSF link in the chat. So that's the organization that I was saying that independently tests products. So you might want to take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Okay, you're welcome.
I love it. Y'all did amazing today. We learned so much, and it was a great reminder that we have to take care of our health. If we do it now, we'll have less challenges in the future. So, take it one day at a time, right, Tori? Just take
Yep.
things one day at a time. Don't go from going from 0 to 100. Just go like 0 to 25 and 50. Just pace yourself, but a little improvement each day will, by the next month, the next 6 months, the year, those little changes will have a big impact.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Alex. I think that's so true. I mean, this is very similar to the conversation about exercise, that it definitely shouldn't be all or nothing. If you can incorporate one more veggie into your day or one more piece of food into your day to start, that's fabulous. That's a great start. And just add to it, it pops into my head, that old saying about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And as old of a saying as that is, it probably was true whenever it started, right? It makes sense. So
Yeah. So do one good thing for your health each day, and you will see a difference.
mhm.
Well, Tori, I'm so sad. I don't want us to leave because we have so much fun and we learned so much, but there's, always a next time. So we look
Yeah.
forward to your next topic, and we appreciate your participation today. And hopefully you all will rewatch this on YouTube when it gets uploaded. But let's all give Tori a big, big, big thank you for all of her wonderful information today. And make sure you stay up for our poll. Thank you so much, Tori.
Hey, thank
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Tori.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tori.
you,
Very
Tori.
much.
Thank you,
Hey,
Tori.
Bye
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
See
Bye,
you
guys.
soon.
See
See you
ya.
next
Have a
Bye.
time,
good
Tori.
weekend.
Have a
When
good
you coming
weekend.
back?
Thank you. Yes,
It'll
yes,
be in next year, right, Alex? Yep.
yeah, soon. In the
Next year is not that far away. So
yeah. So thank you so much, Tori.
yeah. All right.
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
Tori. God bless.
Thank you.
Have
Take
a good
care.
day.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tori.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Tori.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Tori.
information.